she's still in the hall. But my name is Phil Kahn. I do this. If you've heard of it. I hope you have. We're doing pretty good so far, I think. I have had, I'll go ahead and, this isn't a good example, I want to say it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on the first page. I have had a long, this is the panel about what not to do with webcomics, right?
It's the Get Off My Lawn panel, which is, yes, it does say in the thing what not to do with.
Well, this is the Phil fucking Kahn panel. So here I am. I have my own panel.
So talk about whatever you want.
Have you seen Inception?
Yes.
It was so good. Anyway, hi, my name is Phil Kahn. I am the co-writer / webmaster / letterer for this comic strip called Gilded Age. I have been doing webcomics since I graduated high school. I am succeeding at them now. So I've had a long, tumultuous journey of self-instruction and mentoring from my pals that led me to this point. And I guess I'm here primarily to talk about what not to do in webcomics and how things used to be. For example, on Gilded Age here, we use the system known as Comic Press. It's a fairly well-known system for webcomic maintenance and delivery. It's a fantastic system, I even go as far as to say. And this is bothering me because I'm animal trying to put Mary one moment. Anyway, so WordPress is, of course, one of the best blogging systems in the universe because it's so universally adaptable. Case in point, Comic Press. The Comic Press, irony is I used to be a Navy professional. Comic Press is a delivery system, so it's a theme, actually, for WordPress. A lot of ways you can execute WordPress on a website is you install a theme that somebody else has built, and it basically turns your WordPress installation into whatever kind of website you want it to be. There are photo blog themes, there are podcasting themes, there's all sorts of themes, and Comic Press is one that was developed by Philip Hoffer, who is here at the con, and will be doing some Comic Press workshops also. So if you want to talk to one of the guys who developed it, he will be here. It literally is the best comics delivery system. PvP uses it, ShortPact uses it, like so many, Earthworld uses it. A lot of comics that are high profile use the system because it really is that damn good. I like it because I am not a coder, but I understand code. So I can bullshit my code when I want to. I can look up a guide and say, I need this. How do I make the HTML do this? I go find it. I know where to put it, but I couldn't do any PHP or anything like that. So it's great to use for the average person. It's great to use for anybody. So I mean, no matter what your skill level, because it has a very basic functionality, but it's also highly customizable. Back in the day, we had things called HTML tags. And when you wanted to have a comic page, you had to make an HTML page for every single page in your library, whereas the modern PHP delivery systems have a query-based kind of system. In fact, here he is. There's the inventor of Comic Press, so to speak, Phil Hoffer, the main guy, the guy who does it all. But because it uses a query system, instead of having an individual page, existing, an individual HTML page for every comic in your library, it has the same basic system template model that then fishes up the information based on that entry in your archive. So if the entry is 93, and it pulls up this comic, this paragraph you wrote to go along with it, and these comments that were made upon it. So everything's contained within a SQL database that is then referenced and called upon for every page in your archive. Back in the day, you had to go get, God, I don't even remember the names of some of these stupid little applets you'd put on your website to have like a chat box in there that of course nobody was present for, or to have any kind of commenting, or you get like a third-party bulletin board, or you get like not a GeoCities per se, but that kind of bulletin board for your website. So back in the day, it was a lot different than it is now because the business model and the delivery method for the content have, for lack of a better term, been perfected to the point where it's really you just go get X, Y, and Z materials and you're ready to go. Now, of course, you also have to be the kind of person that draws and writes or what does one or the other, has the other guy to do the other part. So you still have to make the stuff, but getting it on the web is getting easier and easier every day. I had a question for you, in fact. You heard about that new WordPress plugin that automatically changes it into like an iPhone or iPad app, right?
Right.
How does that work with ComicPress or what?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I wanted to know.
You just need to make the style sheet for it.
Mm.
Yeah, you just need to make the look for it that the iPhone would see.
Oh, okay, cool. There you have it. It's even easier now than it ever has been to put your material on the web. Back in the day, you had to have a handful of cash to get your stuff online, more than you do now. Nowadays, you can put your webcomic out there with material probably more than you even really need. Like, you can go to DreamHost. That's what I use for my personal server. I don't use it for this because this crippled it fairly quickly, which is a problem you want to have. But we moved this to a different server that can handle the kind of traffic that we were having at the time and we're expecting down in the future. But DreamHost was not that good in the beginning. Or, I mean, it was at first, then it quickly became not. DreamHost is a good place to start because it's only $10 a month. Only $10 a month. And the longer you remain a customer for the same exact rate, the more transfer you get and the more storage space you get. My storage and transfer are into terabytes now because I've been a customer of theirs for years and years and years. And it's like compounded increase. Like there's actually a meter when you go to the web panel for your server that just constantly ticks up how many kilobytes you have available to you. So I mean, it's fun. And then going to GoDaddy and getting a domain name is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Set up an account, buy a domain name. You set the domain name servers to your server. It takes like a day for it to be working perfectly, and then you're ready to go. Back in the day, you had to get a URL, which is a little bit more expensive back then than it was now, but not too much more, but it's just easier and cheaper now than it was before. But there's also the hidden fees, like if you want to have your registration private, if you want to have it secure, there's fees upon fees upon fees, the more you want the service you want to add on to it. But there was this thing that was very popular back in the day. Bear will probably remember. Is it Keenspace? Or now Comic Genesis? Okay. That was the go-to spot for free webcomics delivery. Comic Genesis was free, or Keenspace was free. Keenspace was a subsidiary of KeenSpot. KeenSpot is a label for webcomics. It was one of the first major, and still one of the currently ongoing webcomics collectives that don't do anything. But they had this kind of talent farm system where you'd sign up on Comic Genesis. Keenspace back was what it was called before. I thought I would never stop calling it Keenspace in my life, but here we are. You would sign on Keenspace, you'd use your comic there, and if you were really good and getting a lot of attention, you would graduate up to KeenSpot and then get money, hypothetically. So Comic Genesis was a place to go, but it had this very annoying stigma to it because your URL was, for example, Hooji Crew, which was my old time back in the day, hoojicrew.keenspace.com. And you knew you had the Keenspace stigma to your work. Keenspace was synonymous with crap, also. It was synonymous with free. But what's synonymous with free? You get what you pay for, right? So there was a stigma back then involved with being a member of Keenspace. But then, you just had to get your acting gear and get web hosting and get a domain. And even then, that's not expensive because the domain fees you pay on a yearly basis. And the server fees you pay on a monthly basis. So if you want to start your webcomic and you want to figure in the total cost for a year, it's going to be somewhere within the vicinity of $150 for the entire year. Not much. Considering a year, considering 12 months, considering on a cost per month, you're looking at $15 a month. Who plays World of Warcraft? Okay. Who plays any other MMO? You're already paying $15 a month. 15 more isn't going to hurt if you're trying to do it.
I'm sorry, I'm too high. I'm the guy.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Do you want to know how not to succeed in webcomics? Be late.
Yeah.
With panels and update schedules.
Exactly. Lateness is a bit of a curse. Lateness isn't as big. Actually, that's the funny thing about now versus then. schedules and lateness aren't as big a deal as they once were because of RSS feeds and their popularity.
Right.
I mean, Scott Kurtz can get away with doing this comic whatever time of day he feels like now, because he knows most people who read him, the people whose wallets he's concerned with, have him on the RSS feed. So he doesn't have to worry as badly. But that's okay, because he's still maintaining the one per day usually. He's still, but
Most days.
whatever. He's Scott Kurtz. He can do whatever the hell he wants, I guess.
Well, that's one of the things, though, because I had this discussion recently with the RSS feeds. Most of the comics that I read now have an RSS feed.
Yes.
I go to Google Reader, I scroll through who updated, okay, check. Not everybody includes their art in the RSS feed. Okay, that's fine. I know it's updated, but I don't have to just keep clicking.
This is his.
One of the things that you have to do, though, is if you're not on time, you're not going to get that initial audience, though.
Right.
So it's important. You got to build some eyes on the page to begin with to get them to subscribe to your RSS feed.
The oldest adage in webcomic success that has ever been true and still true today is stick to your schedule. That's always been it. That's always been the number one key. Because the fact of the matter is, especially on the internet, there's an audience for everything. There is absolutely an audience for everything. If you continue to produce reliably long enough, you will get people reading you. And that's the fact. I mean, marketing and promotion comes in the factor of, growing your property. But as long as you reliably produce the content every time you say you're going to do it, that's the key. By that same token, there are several people who don't have an update schedule, but they still succeed because they've never declared one. So the important part is that you fulfill the expectation that you place forward. That's what it all comes down to. Because if you say, I have no update schedule, I update whenever I can, people go, okay, I know not to expect it all the time, so I know I should take it when I can get it. Where's your RSS feed? If you say I update Monday, Wednesday, Friday, people say, okay, this comic had better be here every time I come here, or else our contract is null and void. Where's your RSS feed? So, but back in the day, RSS feeds were a lot more difficult to implement on a given website. WordPress/ComicPress have streamlined that process to such a degree, in combination with Google FeedBurner. Boom.
I was done.
Boom. There it is. Button. When you do, you're using ComicPress, right?
Yes.
ComicPress too. I'm gonna shill for Phil while he's in the room.
By all means.
There's all these myriad of buttons you can instantly drop in there. There's even a buy a print button. That's how streamlined the business model has become. It now, you put in the rate, people hit the button, sign on PayPal, you get an email saying they want this page printed out, and they pay for it. Give them what they want. So you can do it for any page in your archive. But the focus of this panel is not how to succeed webcomics, it's how to not succeed webcomics. Knowing how to do it right is an important part of knowing how to fail miserably, but perhaps we can start sharing ways that we have failed.
I started, my opening line is, in 2003, several people started webcomics, but 3 started them roughly
It's the same time I did, actually, yeah.
2 of those people who started had an update schedule, grew their art, improved their writing, and got better. And Jeff Jacks from Questionable Content, doing pretty good. Anazumi has a con. And I borrowed gas money to get here today because I took the lazy way with that initial foray. And it's like, I'm going to start a webcomic. Boom. Oh, but I've got that trip for work that I got to take. And, nobody's really reading it anyway.
If you take that attitude, nobody ever will. The thing that I learned at some point along the line was, this will never become my job unless I treat it like it's my job. That's a fact. Any independent venture, you have to treat it like it's your job, or it will never be your job. So if you take a lackadaisical attitude, like, meh, I've got 100 readers anyway, they can wait. Yes! Holy crap, dude! I haven't seen this guy in literally years. Welcome to the table. Get over here.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, good to see you.
Everyone, this is Ross Nover of The System.
Everyone. Are you pulling up my website?
I am.
How small am I doing that? Just saying.
I know how to spell it.
What are you doing?
This is the how not to succeed with.
No, I know what the panel is. I mean, where are we? What are
Oh,
we talking about?
So,
I know I just walked in.
we're talking about ways we have failed in the past.
Oh.
how do you not grow readers?
How
The people who are starting a webcomic today,
That's so funny. This is
they
no
only
one.
Yes. this is a great example to pull from too.
But also,
I thought this
good
was
thing to do.
hilarious.
Thank you. Good thing to do. Always point out where you're going to be. Just saying. This is a handy thing. Also, here we are right now. Panel room 1.
If you want to build your presence, always tell people where you are. You're going to have to sacrifice your privacy to be a web sensation, to a degree. You can still have a large degree of privacy, but anything you do within the world of the business, you kind of have to let everybody know.
Yeah, but it's a fine line between being promotional and being an annoying whore. Everyone likes a whore, but no one likes an annoying whore. It's kind of a very fine line.
Unless you're a Jersey Shore fans.
Right. But like, for example, there are a lot of artists out there that are on Twitter and Facebook and all these things, and it's totally fine to say, hey, I just posted this comic, here it is. That is fair. But somewhere between that and telling people 10 times, somewhere there's the right answer. And you definitely can just kind of look online and see what people are doing and see what looks annoying to you, and then just don't do it. It's generally for your policy. Don't be a dick.
Oh, shit. I've been doing it.
Yeah. I knew that when I met you.
does anyone still use forums? I mean, I've noticed that is really slacked up. I mean, there's still some that...
The Order of the Stick forum is still as popular as it's ever been. You guys are...
Where we met.
That's where we're at. Cool. Got forum bros over here.
I mean, that's one of the forums that have been around for a while are doing all right. But, I mean,
Starting
trying to
forum,
start a forum now, Twitter's going to kill you. Facebook's going to kill you.
Yeah.
But on Twitter, on Facebook, and on those forums...
And LiveJournal. LiveJournal is
LiveJournal.
surging.
Well, when you go to those places and make comments, don't go in and say, hey, check out my comic, and that be your first post.
Yeah, that doesn't work. You have to be more subtle than that. You clearly have to do the more subtle approach of like, hey, what's going on, everybody? And then just in your signature, it happens to be there. Like, there's yeah.
It's going to be organic, or they're...
Organic, yeah, it has to be organic, or people will just shut down.
Hey, this is a forum about motorcycles. Motorcycles are really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw a comic just the other day about a motorcycle.
That is a really fine line that you touch upon, because, like, for example, I do comics about coffee, biking, graphic design,
and psychopathic murdering dogs.
right, and psychopathic murdering dogs. So, I mean, I will go on to these forums for such things like psychopathicmurderingdogs.com or coffeeslovers.com or bikefornet or whatever. And, there's a fine line. The best way to do it, though, let someone else say it for you. Like, recommend on your site, like, hey, if anyone's a member of forums that deal with these topics, here you go. Or someone's already talking about comics, then like, oh, well, I do one that is also on this topic. But you do have to kind of be just humble enough, but not too humble, where you're saying, well, it sucks, and you shouldn't look at it because it sucks, but here it is for more too. Which is, I guess, going a little too much.
And that gets annoying.
Which we've all seen. I feel like I've seen that more often than not.
I'm really bad about saying, yeah, I do a comic, but it's crap, so just don't worry about it.
Well, just the fact that you said, I'm really bad about it, says it all.
Right,
It's like,
exactly. So nobody is like, well, then why the hell do I want to go check out this crap comic? I mean, don't fish for compliments. Just say, oh yeah, I've got a comic.
I like it.
I
I think it's pretty good.
My mom likes it.
My mom even bookmarked it.
my first webcomic, it actually says at the top, my mom thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
It still does to this day, because I have yet to take it down. But yeah, it still says that. It's true. She actually comments on every comic. Do you ever see that when she comments?
I don't read comments much, but I have seen your mom comment on comics.
She comments. She hasn't commented on today's yet because it just went up a couple hours ago. And she's been at Temple because it's Jew Day. Well, it's due date part 2.
I think we went to college for like half a second. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Right, it's a big due day today.
Yeah.
I felt bad because I skipped Rosh Hashanah services to be here, and then I get to the hotel and it's Rosh Hashanah services. So
We should have just stopped by. We could have had like the most nerdy Rosh Hashanah services ever.
Spelled with zeros.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a few stories of falling on your face doing webcomics. When I
You
first
are a story of falling on your face doing webcomics.
I mean, eventually you're going to fall into a pile of money. So, I mean, as long as you keep falling. One of the things, similar to what he said about forums, or what they said about forums, one of the first things I did was when I went into webcomics, I was previously unaware there were more than like 7 of them.
So you thought you could be number 8.
I know! I
Like,
really
so
did! My God, no one's doing webcomics right now! I could get in on this!
I could do one about like 2 guys and they're like friends.
Yeah!
And they like just sit around and play video games.
God, it is bullshit.
On a couch.
Right, on a couch. Yeah, that's the first step to doing webcomics. Learn how to draw a couch.
Do you know how long it took me to draw a couch?
Couches are so hard to draw.
I'm serious because all my stuff's in like this style now.
Right.
And so like I was like, how would you draw a couch that would go on a street sign? It was like it was so difficult. I wound up it took me half an hour. I took a bed and I like took apart the bed. It was like I had to you'd be amazed how long this shit takes.
Yeah.
Halves of hours.
Whole portions of your day.
Yeah.
Or your morning.
Or your morning. Oh,
But
God.
now that I've drawn it once, I never have to draw it again.
That is the Majesty of a Club Art comic.
It's not, no, it's not.
It's
clip
not
art. It's
Icon art.
It's iconography. Yeah. I got asked what my field of research was because I'm a professor now. And you get asked that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I got asked my field of research, and I said iconography and its use in sequential art. Which sounded was a really I'm saying because everyone else is going
You're
like,
not wrong!
yeah, I know, but it's like third world economics and their effect on and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I need something with at least 4 words and 10 sentences. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So it took me a while to draw a comic. Yeah.
I guess the biggest failing people
Oh wait,
have.
yeah. So you're comic number 8 on the internet.
Yes. So I emailed Scott Kurtz, letting him know that I was a webcomic also. I think webcomics.
Oh, there's a mistake. There's a mistake. Don't email Scott Kurtz. Just don't.
That's
Rule 1.
That's actually rule 1 and 2.
Don't email him. No, seriously.
That's tips for success for people who are already successful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what that all comes down to is keep your expectations realistic. There is gold to be stricken online. There absolutely is. There is money to be had. There is success to be, successed at. And
Success is the thing you can grab at.
God, I hope so.
If
If not, I have a lot of phone calls to make. Keep your expectations realistic. We just had our 1-year anniversary. We have. I'm not going to drop traffic numbers because that's dickish and lame. But like,
I call that whipping it out and measuring.
yeah. And I'm proud of it. It's exactly where it should be at this age of the comic. So you can't measure in terms of success. You have to measure in terms of progress. So when you start measuring your comic work, when you start measuring your work in terms of like concrete successes, that's your first step to failure, because that is not keeping your expectations realistic. Adam.
ABG. Always be grown.
Always be growing.
Yeah. That's my.
Well, see, I go with the ABC method.
What's that?
Always be cartooning.
Always be cartooning. Oh, I like that.
Draw
Can we
every day.
Can we get like one of the Baldwins? I don't care which. If we settle for a lesser Baldwin, that's fine. You just come in here.
Steven.
ABC. Always be cartooning. See these 20s? Steal 20s.
If you want as many $20 bills as I have,
Yeah.
continue cartooning.
Leads? You want the good leads? Okay.
The good fees.
It's a Casio.
Speeds,
That's
speeds.
who I am.
So what?
I said, see this watch? It's a Casio. That's who I am.
See this watch? It's also a USB drive. That's right.
You got here on the Metro. I came in a Hyundai. So I think we know.
Oh, come on, guys! I just need one good link.
You gotta get them to click on the line that is hyper.
At the same time, I want to touch on a topic I mentioned earlier before these guys even came in here.
Wait. Back to the Scott Kurtz. Where was that going? Don't email Scott Kurtz.
I didn't get email back. I was just saying don't have your expectations high, because I was disappointed for a while. Oh, he didn't email me back. He's an asshole. Then I figured out he was an asshole for legitimate reasons. But, yeah, I mean, you pick your battles, but like, the point of all that was keep your expectations realistic. That's the whole point of that. So, do we have any questions?
Hey, everybody, turn and wave.
We have a panel.
We're paneling.
Okay, when I first started, we're telling when I first started, sir.
Yeah, everyone needs to draw.
Yeah, that took longer. That took
Way longer.
Also, it didn't look as anyway, but
It looked like things.
right, it didn't look like this. That was the problem.
It looks like stuff. I wanted things.
Yeah, that first couch just killed me. So, no, my first ever webcomic, I updated it twice a week, and I got to the point when it had 130 or so people a day looking at it, and I was so happy at that 130. And then it dropped down to 100, and I'm like, oh man, what did I do wrong? And it's just gonna do that. You just can't worry about it. And then but it never got any higher than that. It's like, well, considering what I was putting into it, that's to be expected. But then at some point I was like, okay, this has been done. Let's put this 2 guys on a couch thing aside, and it actually was 2 guys on a couch. So let's try something else. And that was something totally different, and that actually got a lot more traction because it was different, and it could be something other than just 2 guys on a couch. But then it still never went that far. The 3rd project, that's this. This is actually going somewhere. I mean, better than something.
It's going places.
I've said before, I've heard before. Don't be married to an idea.
Exactly.
Because those first 2, they weren't it. But you could have latched onto that first one because you just this idea is great. And why the hell isn't?
I would put a caveat there. Don't marry the ideas you aren't positive. Don't marry the ideas that aren't obviously going to be successes, I guess. I showed you mine at the beginning, and you saw the art. So I looked at Erica, who's our artist, and I looked at what she was giving us. I said, people are going to look at this. If for nothing else, if not even for my writing, they're going to look at it for the art. So I know this is the right way to go. But when you start off with 2 guys on a couch, it's not bad to use that as practice.
That was a sitcom at some point, wasn't it? 2 guys on a couch? Or
Yeah,
is that
I hope
every
so.
sitcom?
2 guys, a couch, and a pizza.
Yeah. There you go.
2 guys on a couch and an Xbox.
Yeah.
The Baldwins is in it now.
Yeah, they're on Law and Order, so why not?
What was that?
Something about, don't
Yeah.
do 2 guys on a couch?
You can do 2 guys on a couch for your first project. Understand that 2 guys on a couch has been done to death.
Yeah.
Understand that if you're not starting with an original idea, it's going to be harder. But if you're new to making webcomics, practice.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to chalk off your first couple of projects as your practice rounds.
First 4 years.
Yeah,
But
really.
no, the best thing you can do is not set a goal of success, but set a goal of improvement.
Exactly. Focus on the progress.
Yeah,
not on success.
when I look at my first projects, when I was doing them, all I knew was that each comic was turning out better than the one before it, and I at least noticed the difference between each week of just it slowly getting better, me slowly getting faster at it, all that stuff. It was slowly getting better, and numbers aside, that is skills that I've built over the course of years that I you don't even realize how much you're learning along the way sometimes. You learn so much little stuff that you just do now. That sometimes some of it's technical, when I first started, how I kept my files and my Photoshop was just a mess, I didn't know how to do all that stuff, but then along the way you just can't help but learn tricks or pay attention and always be just a little humble about willing to learn from everybody else or see what everybody else is doing. And
Don't quit your day job and
Oh, yeah,
give yourself
don't do
room
that.
to fail.
Get yourself a cushy IT job for your day job, and then go make a webcomic. But yeah, don't quit your day job.
You're not going to be PB Well,
and
it's-
possibly not even 2 years from now.
Or ever.
or ever.
Or possibly not ever. You have to also accept the fact that you might not succeed.
Did we cover, like, is this an audience of people who are trying to
Oh yeah,
do
who,
this sort of
who
thing?
wants to do webcomics? Raise your hand. Okay, we got at least half. Okay, we got
Do any of you already currently have a
5 out of 7.
website?
Okay.
All right.
What's your website?
TheDarkenHeart.com.
The Dark at Heart?
The Darkened Heart.
The Darkened Heart. We're going to expose you.
Yeah, that's what he's hoping for.
Saying that out loud.
Yeah. Oh, get a URL you can say out loud. That's what we're talking
I like your design.
I like the desktop. That's
about. It's,
So
it's Comic Press.
yeah, it is Comic Press.
I'm finally reading.
I already went on the Comic Press tirade earlier.
Oh, well, there's that.
Who's going to the workshop?
Oh
I
yeah,
would be.
I gotta shake that man's hand. Maybe
yeah.
not.
He was here in the back for a
He
minute.
just snuck out.
But yeah, if you're wanting to improve your website with Comic Press, go
He'll
to the
help you.
workshops.
Yeah.
And if you don't get a chance to go to the workshops, go to his chat room on frump.net.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
You have a problem,
Yeah.
he helps you.
So
Did you make that?
I
Well, I
guess
like what you're putting down here. You got something original going, so keep it up.
Thanks.
okay. If I learned the biggest thing that I ever learned, like if I only could say one thing in this panel about like how to start or where to start, it would be to just start.
Yes.
Like
I keep hearing it.
Yes.
How do you break into webcomics? How do you break into webcomics?
You can't break in if you don't swing the hammer.
yeah, well,
Put
like,
something online.
yeah,
You're in.
you know, with
Go to 4chan. Go put random stupid comics you made up. See, get anonymous response. They're going to be really honest about it.
with the system, I spent about a month where I was going, I might want to do it like this, I might want to do it like that, I'm not sure which way to go. And my friend Marty says to me, stop almost doing a lot of things and just do something. And that day I wrote 8. And, you know, then I was just off and running. But it took that. It took, like, stop being theoretical and actually get things down. And, you know, like, don't look backward, don't revise. Well, revise to a point, but know when you have to move on and then, you know, work on making the next one better. I mean, the first strips of every comic aren't going to look as good as the most recent because that's the process and that's the evolution. That's
I mean, have you
part of
looked
why
at the
people
first?
like it.
Have you looked at the first Penny Arcade lately?
Yeah, it's bad.
Have you compared to the most released one? That is the biggest example of art director
Well, look
switching.
at Wapsie Square from Paul Taylor.
Yeah.
That jump from first to the current.
I keep forgetting that's still a thing.
Or
See, this is what he's
questionable
doing.
content.
Oh God, QC.
Back when everybody would lean back like this at all times.
So,
One hand on hip.
Yep, you get previews.
yeah, no, are these how the comics go? So yeah, here's
Yeah,
an
that's how they
example.
look now. Lots
That's
of
how they look
boobs.
now. Well, it's always been about boobs.
Yay.
But there used to be
But you
less
can
boobs.
see, yeah,
See,
there
less
used to be
boobs.
far less boob.
And now lots more boobs.
Or if you look just, it was either the most recent or the previous update on Penny Arcade, they actually have a comic which splices from a 1998 comic to
Yes.
current art.
That
And
was
it's a-
really funny.
It's a really stark contrast.
I thought you were going .co.uk. I was like, where are we going?
It's the European Arcade. What?
Yeah, they spell Colure with a U.
I do that too. I just like the way it
Yeah, we
looks.
just do it to be a dick.
Yeah, I know. I just like it because it looks nice. But yeah, here's the example. That is what. Actually, no, that's not even the best example because this
Maybe it used to
panel.
look even worse.
This panel
It
sucks.
was after
this,
like 3 years of
it's
doing it.
after this.
Yeah,
This was the first Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it before. Who,
There's actually
who
a
hasn't
patch
seen
below
it
the
before?
frame.
Who's
in
seen it?
case it's-
Never seen it before? Okay, so we. You know, preaching to a choir, I guess, but you are informed now.
But notice, like, even some of the subtle stuff, like they're using Comic Sans.
Yeah. I always forget that.
The word balloons are like in this really basic style. I mean, if you go to just the newest, right? Okay, there are no word balloons, but like there's like line art style to it. Like, look, like they were still figuring out if sometimes they were gonna have, you know, just like open text with just a line pointing towards it. Now they do it all in word bubbles like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't help but learn as you go through it, and just the most helpful thing for me is talking it over with other creators.
Yeah.
Like, I sit down with, like, I'll write most of a joke, and then I'll send it to, like, I have a short list of, like, 5 people that are friends that I think are funny that, and here's the most important part, are awake when I'm awake. And when all three of those things happen and we form Voltron, then I send them the comic and I say, it's close, it's missing something, what do you think? And then they give me ideas, and I never use their idea, but the thing that they say makes me think of something else that then makes me come up with a solution. Like, I almost have...
No! That's why we make web comics!
I almost have like 3 co-writers, and they're not like co-writing it, it's just, you can't help but talk things over with people. That's just how I work. I'm not a hole up by myself and be Chris Ware kind of person. So.
What?
What did you do?
Remind me later, Google.
What did you do?
It just as a back of your accounts or whatever. I'm like, do later.
Why are we all looking at your Google Docs?
Because I'm opening up a script.
Oh, okay.
I want to demonstrate the importance of using, even if you write and draw it all yourself, even if you already know what you're going to do, it's still a great idea to write a script for what you're about to do.
I don't know the scripts.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So I did it before when I was doing it earlier. I feel like I would have benefited because you see your jokes, you see your timing and then you can think about them, fix them, and revise them before you draw them, and then you go, oh, I should have drawn it differently. Well, it's too late now because I don't fucking feel like redrawing it.
Well,
So,
do you ever do like thumbnails first, where like you take the script and you put it in the thumbnails?
Rarely.
Like this.
This is my sketchbook. This is my scripts. I make 3 lines, or 2 lines actually, to make 3 panels, and I start writing in my idea. It's on yellow paper. Who cares? Nobody's ever going to see it. So subconsciously, I guess.
See, I can't work like this. I work like that. And the reason I can't work like this is because I'm too visual. So I'm too busy wondering if those words are going to fit in a panel that size, or things
right.
like that.
I mean, that's a decision you make when you get into it, because what Erica does, she'll take our scripts, and if she feels that there's not enough space, or if the beating's not right, she will add her own panels. She'll add her own beat panels, she'll extend the action.
And that's the kind of thing that like a good partnership can have that like working with Rob Balder can't. For example, because have you seen Rob Balder's scripts?
Specific.
I saw some Earthworld things. So like his scripts are like gridded, and he says it's this panel, it's this size, it has these people in it, it is from this angle. Like that is how specific his panels are.
Did I tell
And
you
like all of his scripts. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, I love Rob, but
Yeah.
as an artist, I could not have that much control because it doesn't allow for any back and forth. It doesn't allow for 2 people to both bring their expertise to the same medium.
Yeah.
That requires both words and pictures. He does good stuff, but he is a word guy, and you need like a picture person to come in and go like this with it.
So that's why I work alone. My thing is.
No, now you need to put on sunglasses and walk out. That's why I'm alone.
And then we explode while he walks away. Deal with it.
The one thing that I have to do is I don't think I can write well enough to describe the panel the way that I'm seeing it in my head for you to draw.
Okay, I have the solution for that. Take 1 screenwriting class. I did comics before I went to college. I've been reading comics before I went to college. But I went to film school for film, and I'm still doing comics. But screenwriting, that's the formal training I received. So that's why when I write in my scripts, you learn how to give the right kind of descriptions. Because even when you're taking a screenwriting class, they teach you that what you put in your script is probably going to be changed by the director or the cinematographer or whoever else. But if you're as descriptive as possible and concise while you're doing it, then you have the more likelier chance that what you have on your paper is what you're going to see. So it's all about the specific details. Like the girls emerge from a brilliant magic portal. Syringe leads Frigg and Bandit out. Her goggles are in tint mode. Frigg is covering her eyes with a gauntleted arm, and Bandit rubs her eyes. Syringe's demeanor is deadly serious.
Yeah, you need to make
That's
sure
extremely descriptive.
But you need to make sure to cover all the details that are going to appear either later or are affected by what already happened.
Continuity.
Yeah.
God, we're bad at that. If I can tell you anything that we're still bad at,
I'm bad at it, and I don't even have it. But yeah.
That's going to be one.
Love the shoulder spikes, by the way, the shoulder axes.
Oh, thanks, God. The shoulder blades, yeah. Yeah, he just got it. They're going to be fun. Well, that's basically just a joke on World of Warcraft, where all those ridiculous, stupid pauldrons with spikes and skulls on them, or giant axes. Like, dude, you're going to make your own head bleed if someone calls your name. What? Ah!
You're there, and you just go, I don't know.
Ah! Don't be uncertain, for the love of God.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's not hard to do. You just got to figure out what are the most important details, and be concise and detailed. That's how you do it in screenwriter mode. And because comics and movies are both, visual mediums, writing out a scene in a comic and writing out a scene in a movie are remarkably similar when it comes down to it. The only difference is you're breaking these down as panels as opposed to, say, shots. And panels are shots.
And then after the panel doesn't work right, you do shots. But
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've got about 10, 15, like 12 minutes left.
There's one last point I want to make really
No,
quick.
I'm just saying we should open it up.
Yeah, I know. That's where I want to go too. But there's
Yeah.
one last point I want to make about comments, especially if you're using Comic Press or any system that has comments in your blog. Comments are a good meter on reader interest. But the thing to focus on with comments is not the volume of comments. Don't count how many comments per entry. Some entries are going to be more exciting than others. That's a fact. Count how many people show up to comment every day.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be counting. Who keeps coming back?
My mom.
His mom. His mom does keep coming back. But, so, now that I've made that last point and I've monopolized the vocal time, let's open it up for questions. If you guys have questions.
About any,
Don't even have to raise your
anything
hand.
specific or general.
Yeah, I break into web comments.
The great
Through
thing
your
about-
face, son!
The great thing about webcomics as a medium in terms of professionalism is, as professional as you act, people will treat you. It is that simple. So if you act like you have your act together, people treat you like you have your act together. If your website looks like you know what you're doing, then people will treat you like you know what you're doing. Like, it is really that simple. And it doesn't matter if you have one comic, 20... Okay, don't have one comic. Once you have, like, 10 comics, at that point and onward, like, the more, like, you act like people should take you seriously, the more people actually take you seriously. So, it really, like, there is no barrier. The barrier is having a website with a comic on it. Then you're a webcomic. Magic. But no one will care.
Massage.
Right, yeah. No one will care until, like, you start producing something or acting like it's worth it. And then they treat it like it's worth it.
Like I said before.
But it really is that simple.
Yeah. If you treat it like a real job,
if you consider that
it'll
simple.
become a real job.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule of
True.
any independent web business. Any other questions? Any other thoughts or concerns or whatever?
Working like with a buffer, like do you guys have,
Oh.
10 strips in advance?
Sometimes we have a buffer. We have a buffer right now. We're not going to have a buffer next week, but we have one right now.
We're eating the buffer right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we are.
I
We have
have
other
a,
stuff we have to do first.
I have a 2-comic buffer right now. I've had up to a 2-week buffer, and that was back when I was doing it every day, so that was like a pretty big buffer, really. But I can never seem to really think that far in advance. Like, I'll have a bunch of ideas at once, and I always keep ideas like written down, but the comic buffer is like I plan ahead enough that like I know I'm not going to be able to do one Friday, so I'll do it Wednesday. But I don't ever just have a buffer.
Buffers are exactly as useful as you think they are, but they're not required. Because as long as you update on time, as long as you can reliably do that, you don't need a buffer, hypothetically. But in case of an emergency, you want one. At least a week. A week is good.
Third attempt at a webcomic, I was going to do this one right. You know, I learned from the mistakes because before I even talk about it, I've got 30. Boom, these are in the can. I'm going to start before the first one posts. I've got 30 ready to update through this whole next month, so I'm good to go. Comic's going to launch on October 2nd, same day as Peanuts, because yeah, that's the magic. You know,
Sure.
so they're in there, and October 2nd comes, and I'm in the emergency room because I get hit by a Ford F-150 right in the driver's door.
Ooh.
But hey,
Was the car okay?
no worries, I've got a buffer. I've got 30 days in the can, so I can recover. I'm in the emergency room. I'm not going to draw today. Well, now I've got the Vicodin. I sure as hell ain't not going to draw now because.
Or are you going to draw amazing?
That's the best comics you ever did.
So this
Everybody looks like a lobster, but whatever, it's great.
But now my neck hurts. Well, I've still got 2 weeks of buffer. So, okay, well, now it's November. Damn.
Speaking of Vicodin.
So, the buffer can be dangerous and it can be good. It can be good because when an emergency happens, I got the 30 days. Now, if I hadn't leaned on that so much and actually gone as soon as I could and start drawing again, there would have been no break. But some people, if you go too big of a buffer, and I'm very guilty of that, I'll look at it and go, I got this other thing to do, but it's okay, I've got a week or two.
Well, the other nice thing about the buffer, though, is that you get to, like, revise. Because it has, like, you're not on that deadline, so you get to write something, put it down, and then go look at it before you post it and say, oh, you know, I could have made this better if I do this other thing. So, like, that is the one thing that I really like about having a buffer.
That's a buffer.
That is a nice buffer.
Very nice buffer.
Laura from Second Duty.
Is that what he uses for
Let's go
Ryan's
with
head?
it. Yeah, like having like just a few days or just enough. John Cleese actually did this whole speech. It went around like virally because it was like this video of John Cleese on creativity. If you just look it up, you'll find it. And it was a TED. It was like a TED talk. I don't think it was actually a TED talk. It was like it. Thank you. Very helpful. Anyway, he did this whole talk about how when he would write something and then he would put it down, then he would come back to it the next morning. He would go to revise it, and he would suddenly realize he'd had a ton of ideas without even spending any time on it. Because as much as you actively think you don't think you're thinking about it, but part of your brain is still thinking about it. And the example he gave is like he wrote a script and then he lost the script and he had to rewrite the script. And then he found the original and realized it had been made better just by rewriting. And that same idea applies to comics, where like anytime I write enough where I can like take the idea and like muddle it over. So like I did one that I held on to the idea for forever until I could get it right. It was like the third most popular comic I've done to date. The idea was really simple. It was just browser testing, only like for when you make a website, but it was Bowser testing, and I was like, there's a joke there, I don't know what it is. and like I just put it down and I set it aside, and I'm like, I will come back to this when I think of the best way to do it. And then like it just kind of mulled over. And every time I didn't have an idea, I'd go to the list of comic ideas that
Exactly.
I'd written down.
Keep a whiteboard. Doesn't have to be a real one.
For me, it's a series of stickies on my dashboard on my laptop.
For me, it's a single Google Doc that just has random ideas.
Yeah, but it's funny because some of them I've written down 2 words and I look back on it and it's like,
You have no idea what that was about.
What is a Brian penis? What is that? That's a true story. I was like, I think the original idea was something about like
Very uncomfortable phone call.
getting like naming your kid something that couldn't be made fun of or rhymed with a bad word very easily, and someone names their kid Brian Penis, and it's like, well, he's screwed. I think that was the idea, but I have no idea why I wrote that down. But I keep going back to that list, and I was like, Bowser testing. Okay, today's the day. Today is Bowser testing day. And like 2 weeks ago, I finally put it up, and it was very successful. Easily the most tweeted thing ever. Oh,
Right.
put it up.
Comes up with the first
First
result.
thing.
Hey! There we go. So that's a good accomplishment. When you come up with a joke and it's the
Okay.
first result in Google,
I have.
you got a good joke.
Yeah, well, look at all that shit. Look at all the people commenting and all that. Like, this is just a really good one.
Well, it's because we really like Mario.
It's because it's got a video game reference and a nerdy programming reference in the same comic. That's like gold.
It's
right
gold.
there.
Magic formula.
I should have this on my table, just like, read it! Yeah. Took a long time to do Bowser.
Are there any other questions before we lose the last 2 minutes?
It's definitely easier to axe a bridge than to get IE6 to work. You can tell, yeah, write what you know, actually, is another thing. Because I'm a web designer, so I write web design jokes. Not every day, but like a lot of stuff that, like I said, it's coffee and biking and graphic design. That's because I bike places, I drink a lot of coffee, and I'm a graphic designer. So like, of course I'm going to write about those things.
Which, to put that into perspective of this
Yeah.
Don't find a subject that's super popular, that you know nothing about, and go, hey, people are going to be interested in this war digits game. Let me make some comics about that.
T. Campbell did a comic briefly. I just want to, yeah. He did a comic called Search Engine Funnies. I'm just going to let that sink in for just half a second there. It was funny. It was well written and it was good, but who's reading comics on search engines? T and I wrote our first project together was a comic about sequential art students. We had good stories, we had good drama, character development, jokes, all the works that you see in any kind of sitcom situation. But who's going to read a comic about art students?
I read it.
Point being, you cannot bank on the concept as well as you can bank on the execution.
But it's also the more you write what you know, the more you can just, it can be your own voice more easily. Like, I think the reason that this project works for me better than all my other projects is there's a lot of comics that I do where it's like, I'm really writing myself, and I'm just doing that. Like the to-don't list, all the things that are on my to-don't list, it's today's comic, is things that I did yesterday. Like, it was like, eat peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon. Watch 4 episodes that I've already seen of Law and Order. What else? I don't remember. But like all those things that I put on there, I didn't put them on there because I thought they'd be funny. I put them on there because they happened to me yesterday, and I was like, I can't believe I just did this. And like, so like that. But people have told me like that voice, like they read it and it's like talking to me, and that's true. Yeah. And people like even accuse me of like quoting my comic. No, the comic is quoting me. It is just that the two like
it's a soapbox.
reflect each other.
I mean,
really
but it's an unoffensive soapbox.
I mean, I'm not doing story comics, so like that is kind of a different mindset.
Which is something we should address because there's an entirely different thing going on with story comics and gag-a-days. This is a gag-a-day one because there's really no coherent story
on a daily basis.
It's jokes on a daily basis. So, especially as the example of Bowser testing. One of the things you can count on if you continue to work as hard as you can on. Eventually, you'll tell a joke one day that will be so funny that people on Dig and Reddit and stumble upon will tell everyone else about it.
It's true.
For a story comic, you've got to consider pacing. You've got to consider the fact that for example, for my work, it has it's chapter based, which essentially becomes issue based because there's 24 pages each chapter as a standard comic book, 24 pages. We update 3 times a week. So that means every chapter is 2 months long. So you really have to consider how you're pacing out your story because you're going to have to be counting on people to remember details that you told them a month ago.
I mean, it is all in the archive right there.
It is all in the archive.
But you do...
But you have to rely on people's memory for that.
Yeah.
So when you're getting specific, always think about that.
Yeah. There's a balance between making everything happen on one page and making every page just a splash page with 1 or 2 panels on it. And I've seen both fail, and it's just a matter of finding that balance.
And similar to what he said about writing what you know, write what you care about. I mean, he mentions a lot
put that much time
being a bicycle rider in the city. That's a very frequent topic on the system.
Yeah. You can only make fun. I've actually wanted to draw more, but you can only make fun of drivers being assholes so many times.
Yeah.
In so many ways before you're like, what? Didn't I do that one?
Yeah. I thought about you the other day as I was walking to the store on the corner, and a guy on a bicycle texting almost ran me off the sidewalk. I'm like, well, I try to be nice to the bicyclists specifically because of Ross.
I try and make the point in the comic whenever possible that yes, drivers are assholes, but bicyclists are assholes too. Like everyone's an asshole.
People who operate vehicles are assholes.
You always think the other guy's an asshole. That's pretty much the story.
But writing what you care about is extremely important. Like for Gilded Age, there is a whole cadre of tropes, cliches, and formulas about fantasy stuff that what we came into is, okay, we want to tell us a fantasy story, but we're so tired of this, so tired of that, so tired of that, and if that's what you care about, if you care about doing things differently, then by God, make the point doing things differently. If you care about getting your message out there, make the point your message. Write what you know and, not and or. Write what you know and write what you care about, and you're going to have a quality product no matter what. And that's as far as I'm concerned.
But if you're just getting started, don't worry about any of the stuff we just said and just start.
Just practice.
Yeah.
Practice. you will know when you're ready to take it, when you're ready to go for a serious business venture.
Yeah.
Unless you're lucky and you're naturally talented. That's even, you can't bank on that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll happen when it happens. I mean, you just kind of have to start, and everything else you'll figure out over time. Just be humble about being willing to learn, you know, and just start. You'll get somewhere.
Always accept the idea that there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
And you will improve.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think we've overstayed our welcome. We want to thank you all for participating in this, and hope
I've
you
got
learned
cards. Phil wants a card for the website. Always bring cards to panels, guys.
anything. I know, it's
Another
cards.
word.
Yeah, I forgot my cards, so here we are.